So Room for Reflection International was built after a huge success in Denmark. I wrote this book some years ago in Danish. Børnemeditationerne i mit hjerte is the Danish title. And after a huge demand in Denmark, I thought, okay, this might also work internationally. This might actually also work for children abroad. And we might not agree across borders, and God knows there's a lot of things going on right now in the world where we're closing borders and yeah, not working so well together. But one thing that we can all agree on is the love for our children. And one thing we all want is for our children to thrive. And one way for our children to thrive is through sleep. So I think that because we are all just parents loving our children and wanting them to thrive, and thereby also wanting them to sleep better, then this book, The Children's Meditations in My Heart, has become a success abroad, now selling in 14 countries in 3 languages. It was recently translated to Spanish, and I'm trying to get a book contract in Spain for that, because my Spanish is practically not really my thing. So I can't really do all my marketing in Spanish. So hoping for Spanish children to get to know the book, or Spanish speaking children to get to know the book as well. So happy to see that some of you are logging on, and I also hope that you will enjoy this as a replay. I know it's a little funny time, and I know that a lot of my followers are also down under and in the States, so you might be sleeping in a different time zone right now. So I'm going live, and you can watch it later if you are not really, or if you're at work or something. So let's go. I wanted to talk to you about, to like sort of give you some background knowledge of the book, and then I want to move on to talk to you about the topic of today, which is your energy as a parent while you read the book. The reason I want to talk about energy, and I've been trained as a life coach and as a energy mentor in energies and vibrations and healing, and I know a lot about energies. So I want to share with you how your energy as a parent affects your child, and you can train this while reading this book. Maybe some of you might already have seen the changes, and once you've trained your consciousness about your energy through reading this book. Hi Sarah, good to see some comments and a little hello. Once you've trained your consciousness of your energy through reading this book, you can use that technique throughout your parenting, and I must say it has made a huge difference for me. So as a parent, you don't really get any teaching of how to become a parent, and for me, I had to do some stuff that I really wasn't proud of in order for me to find new tools through. So instead of like trying to handle my anger or yelling at my children, led me to just think, I don't want to be this mom. I don't want to be a yelling mom. And I saw the fear in my daughter's eyes when I sometimes yelled at them when they were little. And very soon I figured out I need to learn to control my anger. I need to learn to control. I don't want to yell at my children. I really didn't like seeing the fear in my children's eyes when I was yelling at them, but I really also didn't like the feeling inside of me after having yelled at my children. So I started going into more meditation and mindfulness when they were very young. They are today 8 and 10. So we've been on this for quite some time, and I find that I'm still learning. I mean, I'm still figuring out how my energy affects my children on a daily basis. I still, when I'm not conscious of my energy, I still do a lot of stuff I wish I didn't. But the more conscious I become of my energy, the better parent I become as well. And that's so wonderful for my children, but it's also really wonderful for me. So I'm hoping for you, if you want to take on some of these techniques and get more conscious of your energy, I hope you'll do it for you as well, because you also have an inner child inside of you, and that inner child really doesn't like when you're yelling or you're stressed out or you're doing stuff in your way of parenting that you really don't like. So do it for your children, but please also do it for you. So today I'm going live to talk to you about, like, so sort of you get to know me and you can hear why I wrote this book in the first, in Danish in first, and then afterwards we're going to talk a little bit more about the energy. And you are welcome to write some comments and let me know where you're from, and let me know if you have tried the book and what you think. This is a little bit of a different book for parents as well. It's different for the children, but it's also different for parents because it's sort of like a project that can develop. The more you get into it, the more you can use your intuition. You can you know your child so well, so you know where to turn up the love language and turn it down, and you know how to, you know, the more you use the knowledge you have of your child and what the child is going through, you can sort of develop with the book. I still find new things when I tell these meditations to my children, even though we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. So let me know how you feel about the book. Bring on the good stuff and the bad stuff, because we learn from the bad stuff. So if you have trouble with it, if your children have trouble with it, I would be very happy to hear, and I would be very happy to try to help. So let's start with some background knowledge of why I wrote the book. So some years ago, I started to write. It's about 10 years ago, and I started writing a children's book in Danish. If roughly translated, it will be Murky Bastards and Pink Clouds. It's like a crime novel for children with a lot of puberty stuff in it, and some pink clouds with the first falling in love. I decided that I wanted to make a living off my writing, and to be honest, it takes quite a lot to write children's books and make a living. So I had a Master of Science in International Business background, so I started my writing by writing for companies. I did a lot of copywriting. I also wrote some books, some annual reports, not reports, but sort of like a 50th anniversary report, company history sort of things. I really like the storytelling in the brands. And then I moved on to writing more and more of my own stuff. 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote as a ghostwriter a book for a stress counselor called Thomas Pape, and the book is called Studieliv uden stress. Translated to English, that would be Student Life Without Stress. And student in this case would be high school, college students, university students. And I found out how many children and young people in Denmark suffer from stress and depression, and I was shocked. It made me so sad to see those statistics, and it made me so sad to become aware of how many children in Denmark, and we're supposed to be the happiest country in the world, you know, so how many children are having a really tough time at school. How many children are suffering from stress, and so many children have trouble sleeping because of a stressful, not maybe because of stress, but because they live a stressful life. And I really felt this inner desire to help. And the thing that fueled it the most was looking at my own girls, who were 3 and 6 at this time. And I was looking at them, and I was loving them, and I was a part-time mom, and I had been 4 years on maternity leave, and I've done all the right stuff. I've loved them from the day they were born, and even as they grew in my tummy. And I still had the thought that the time we bring our children into, the time they're growing up in, is different from when I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And there are some different tools that we need to bring into our children's lives today because of the digital time age that they are growing up in. And the answers for me were mindfulness and meditation. And I see that Susanna is online now. Hi, Susanna. And Susanna and I went on a mission to bring mindfulness into some schools where my daughters are going to school. And today Susanna is teaching a lot of teachers mindfulness. We have a lot of instructors around Danish in Denmark trying to get into school and teach mindfulness. And I'm so proud of all that we have achieved with mindfulness at school. And I'm building a platform this summer to facilitate mindfulness more at schools. And so we're on a mission. So thank you, Susanna, for joining me in my mission. I know we share this mission. And also meditation, and that's how I started writing about children's meditation. So at this stage I had been taught meditation, and especially fell in love with heart meditations, with heart energy where my mentor was training me in energy and vibration. And I really loved the heart meditations. I loved the way it made me feel after having meditated and seen the vibrations of my heart visually. I've seen how the love looked inside of my heart, and I'm very visual when I meditate. So I'd seen all these beautiful things in my heart, and I loved it. But the thing that really made the most impact on me was seeing people who had grown up in different environments, people who had a darker background in childhood than I had had. I've been very fortunate with my family. My parents loved me. My sister and I are very close, and I'm in a beautiful marriage today. So I feel I've been very blessed with love throughout my whole life, and I also see that as my gift to give, because I never really doubted love. And I was raised to really believe in myself and love myself, which is the greatest gift we can give a child, because there's so much power in loving yourself. So that's what I wanted to share. So I was surprised to see the heart meditation effect on some of the women who were at the class and who didn't have the same background as I had been fortunate to have. It was like they, for the first time in their lives, they saw and they felt how much love they have inside, not only for other people to have, but also for themselves. And they started using some of their love to actually fuel their own lives. And that was such a beautiful transformation. So that's sort of what made me interested in trying to teach this to my own daughters, who were then 3 and 6. So I took some of the heart meditation I had been taught, and I just started telling them to my children. And that's basically the stories of the children's meditations in my heart are some of the stories that I had been told, and then I've sort of developed them and I share them more to children than how I had been told these stories myself in these meditations. So I didn't come up with the content of this book. I sort of rewrote some of the meditations I had been taught. These types of meditations are all over the world in so many cultures, religions, and also from generations far behind us. So I feel connected to the world when I share these messages, and I feel that every time we share meditation with heart energy, we sort of connect as light workers and as healers and as people who just want to share love. And God knows the world really need a lot of love. There are many things in the world that we do not agree on, but the love for our children is unique. And there is no parent in the whole wide world who doesn't love her child or wish she could or he could love his child. And we all parents want the best for our children. And some of the tools that I have put into this book can help a lot of parents become the parents they want to be. So let's talk about that. So I told these meditations to my daughters. They were 3 and 6 years old, and they loved them. So for a half a year, 6 months in a row, it was every night. Every night, and also throughout the day. They asked for these meditation, and it it was so beautiful for me telling the meditations to my daughters and connecting with them heart to heart. Made me remember the first weeks after they were born. So I think the first couple of weeks of becoming a parent to a new child is magical. They are magical because you don't really know the little soul that has come to you, the little human being in your arms, and you're just looking into their eyes to connect to their soul, and you, in your heart, you love them already, even though you have no idea what's coming. Maybe you do, I didn't. And meditating from my heart to their heart and the other way made me remember that instant feeling of the weeks after they were born. And that's so beautiful for me. So creating a little heart-to-heart meeting in your busy everyday life is for me enough to really feel connected to my children. And once you connect to your children in this way, you just want to do it more and more and more. So for me, the meditations in this book that I've been taught and that I've shared has made me become a much better parent. And I really like myself as a parent much more today than I did when my kids were still very young and I didn't know these techniques. So what happened? Now we come to the most weird part of this project and the most magical at the same time is I started writing and I started sharing these meditations with my daughters because I wanted them to know about the power of the heart. I wanted them to know about the power that lies in self-loving. I wanted them to grow up and really know their inner resources. I wanted them to know that they are beautiful inside. And I think all children deserve to know how beautiful they are inside and how many resources they have to thriving inside themselves. Children today are bombarded with impressions and the world will tell you how to live your life. If you don't get to know yourself and if you don't know your inner resources, everybody else is going to tell you how to live, and then you can run around like I get a picture of a chicken without a head, or a hen. Is that a hen? And the chicken mother, is that a hen without a head? Like you don't, it could be without your heart even, like you run around without any destination, or you run around without a mission. So we need to teach our children to get to know themselves, and we need to teach our children about all the beautiful inner resources they have. And the beautiful thing is that when parents teach this to their children, they often see that the children believe in it in a different way than the parents actually might do. So I've got a lot of letters and beautiful messages, and thank you for everybody who's ever written anything to me about this book. I really love to hear from you. I've gotten so many emails and messages where parents explain that they were trying to teach meditation to their child, and actually the child ended up teaching a lot of stuff about meditation and the inner resources and the inner world and the beauty of the heart to the parent. Oh, and I just love that. I love that our children have come here to teach us so many things, and if we open up, there is so much we can learn from our children. So now we come to this magical part, because what I found after meditating with my girls the first 6 months, when they were 3 and 6 years old, they just fell asleep like babies. And it would happen at night. It would happen while we were driving and I was telling them these stories. It would happen when we were partying with friends and they needed a nap in the afternoon. I could just take them into our room and I could have them sleep and come out the door 5 minutes later, and my friends were going like, what are you doing to your children? How are you making them sleep? And I remember some funny things about these 6 months when we were practicing all these meditations. I remember that we were driving. I live in Copenhagen in Denmark, and I'm 30 kilometers north of Copenhagen. So if any of you know anything about Denmark, let me know if you've been here, and let me know about your Danish experiences. But I was driving from Copenhagen to Jutland, another part in Denmark, and we have to cross a bridge. and there is a little island on the bridge lands on a little island, and then it goes to another island. It's a very long bridge. And I was sitting where you pay to go on the bridge, and I was thinking, you need to sleep before the second island. So that's approximately 5-7 minutes. And I was starting to share the meditations with my girls, and they were all hyper on the back seat, and they weren't going to sleep, like they had a party back there. So, but I really wanted them to sleep because we were going to a party at my mom's house later that night, and I wanted them to be, awake for the whole thing, and be able to participate in a good shape. So we went over the bridge, and I started telling them the stories, and after only reaching the first island, so that's maybe 2 or 3 minutes, they were asleep, and I was just looking behind like, are you kidding? Are you sleeping? That's crazy. And I had so many funny experiences with this throughout those 6 months, and it felt like telling a story, but also tuning into my own energy. So the stories became less and less important, and my energy became more and more important. And there is a guy right now on the internet, you might have seen him. He is the Dad. I have definitely shared some of his videos because he is actually just showing what this shift in energy is. So go on to the Facebook wall of Room for Reflection and look for him. He's a handsome guy, and he's never wearing any t-shirts, and he's lying with his baby, and the baby is getting a little uncomfortable and starting to cry, and then he does the sound that we know from yoga, and the baby immediately calms down and falls asleep. So I think he's had like 40 million views on his with his beautiful baby, and I just love it. I love that the technique is so obvious here, because it's actually the same you're doing with this book. It's a change in energy. So when you read the book, you might come from a busy day. You might have been cooking dinner. You might be running around to get ready for tomorrow. You might be tired. You might be stressed out. There can be so many things going on just before bedtime. But if you take a minute before reading this book to calm yourself down, and if you go into your child's room with this calm, loving, present parent energy, you can work the miracles of this book as well. And I've had so many beautiful mails from so many parents all around the world, and I really, really appreciate them all. And they write to me that this book is magical. They thank me from their hearts because I've changed their bedtime routines, or the book has. And I love that you think the book is magical, and I love the book as well, and I love everything about heart meditation. But I have to tell you the big secret today. I'm going to share it with you now. The book is wonderful, but it's your energy as a parent that's magical. So it's the shift in energy that your child can really feel. That's the magic of this book. And the book has a way of helping you into this switch of energy. So you might have a child who doesn't want to sleep. You might be struggling at bedtime, and a very normal way, a normal reaction would be, my child doesn't want to sleep. My child is that type of a child who blah, blah, blah. My child is la, la, la. So what I really want to share is, instead of looking at your child and saying, my child is like this and that, or my child is giving me a hard time, something like that, instead trying to figure out in that moment, when you think your child is giving you a hard time, what kind of a time are you giving your child? So when you get upset with your child at bedtime, you send so much negative energy to your child. And it's really difficult for a child to calm down if the parent is upset or annoyed or even angry. So when you sometimes yell at your child around bedtime, I've told you 1,000 times to go to bed, or keep laying in your bed, don't run out of bed, and all these things, you raise your voice and you change your energy into negative energy, and the children, they feel everything. They are master detectives of understanding our energy. You might know this from when you're going somewhere and you're trying to put on your happy smile. Mommy is really happy, tense inside, but really looking happy, and your child totally sees through you and doesn't want to go where you're going because he or she completely gets that you don't want to go. So they know us so well, and they've been studying us for 9 months before they even were born. So they know us so well, and they know your energy, and they pick up on your energy. So we communicate in so many different other ways than just through what we are saying. Our whole energy system is communicating with the different chakras and all the heart energy and the light and the love we send out is so much, it's invisible. We don't see it. Some of us do, but we don't see all these energies going around in normal if we haven't been trained to. But the child knows. Maybe the child even sees the energy. But the children come with such wisdom, and they know us so well that they immediately feel how we feel and how our energy is. And if we're not calm, if we're not loving, and if we're not present parents, they will feel it immediately. So I really encourage parents to try to switch into this loving, caring, present energy with the book, and just sort of see it as a training, because this is not something you learn overnight. Some people can do it instantly and have very good intuition and already live the hardcore life, hardcore living, heart in hardcore living, and they would pick up on this immediately. And some have to train this, becoming a conscious parent. So I invite you to train your consciousness of your energy as a parent while you read the book to your children. And once you sort of get a hang of it, you can sort of see. So this evening I was very calm. I was very loving. I wasn't fussy or stressed out myself, and the impact on my child was better than the night before when I was at a different place. So you sort of keep a little track, maybe you write it down in a little notebook, how your energy was when you read the book and which effect it had on your child. And you will very soon see that the more loving, calm, present you can be, the faster you can help your child to sleep. So the child is going like, okay, my mom or my dad is calm, I feel safe, I feel I can let go of the day because I'm not in defense, or I'm not being, they're not pushing me. They are actually just loving me for who I am. And we're talking about the love in my family and the love inside of me. It's really reassuring for a child. Also to hear, having had a stressful day, and then mom or dad is just becoming so calm and telling the child just before going to bed how much they actually love the child. Because parents today, we hear a lot about that we are this and that sort of parents. Either we're too much or we're too little, and everybody is evaluating us as a generation of parents. And in my opinion, we are no different when it comes to loving our children than generations before us and generations after us will be. And that's also what makes us all very equal around the world, is how we love our children. So as a parent generation, we don't love our children less. We might spend less time with them, but we don't love them less. And because we spend less time with our children, and many parents work, where both parents work and come home late from work, and there are a whole lot of reasons for this that I don't want to go into today, but we don't love our children less, but we have less time to communicate the love. And in the time we spend with our children, we need to deal with a lot of other stuff. That means that our energy changes all the time, even when we are with our children. So becoming aware of your energy and making this shift into a loving, caring energy with this book will really help your child so much. And once you train it with your own energy while reading this book, you can start using this technique in many other times throughout your day. you can become, when you have a conflict with your child, or when your child is upset for some reason, you check into your own energy and you feel, how is this affecting my energy? How is my child's behavior affecting my energy? And what energy am I sending back to my child right now? That's actually all you need to ask yourself. What kind of energy do I have right now, and what am I sending to my child? The sooner, once you become aware of this, you can change your energy, and you can be kind to yourself, and you can be kind to your child in so many other situations. So that's actually what has changed me the most as a parent, is becoming aware of my energy and turning up the love for myself, even when I'm not the perfect mom. Trying to do better the next time, because having the lives that living the lives that we live today means that sometimes we get stressed out, and the children are also busy, so they get more stressed out. There was a woman on the train I was talking to yesterday, and she said, are there more diagnoses today? Are there more ADHD in children? Are there more anxious children out there? And there might be, but to me, it's all about how quickly the world is spinning. So I don't believe that there are more children with ADHD today than there were in the 70s, 80s when I grew up, or anxious children. I just think that the impressions that the children get, and the speed that they are brought up in, and the constant impressions, like they are bombarded with impressions every day. It makes us see some of the symptoms of the diagnosis more, and generations before us, had they had the same pressure, would have felt exactly the same. So I don't see children as being more fragile today than we were when we grew up, or my parents were when they grew up. But I see the time has changed, and and we're running around much faster. And there are a lot of parents who are not conscious of their energy, and a lot of parents who have disconnected from the head and below, and also disconnected from their hearts in many ways. And it hurts, and it leads to stress and depression. So the sooner we can become more conscious of the whole body and the heart and the mind, and how everything works together, and how we communicate in so many other ways than through our words, the better. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. So step one is, before you read the book, check into your energy. Figure out what energy could be: your vibration, your mood, the way you feel. Figure out what kind of state are you in right now. Are you able to deliver a meditation from your heart? Are you at a loving, caring energy right now when you're going into your child's room? Especially if you have had trouble at bedtime for a long time, check into the energy before you go into the room, because you might have oh my God, this is going to be a struggle, or I really, really hope this book is working, but I don't think so. Or you might have okay, I'm powering up because now I'm trying a new project. You might have all these different kinds of energies because of your history with your child around bedtime that really affect how reading this book turns out. So become present, loving, caring. Remember to love yourself before you actually teach your child to do this. Try as hard as you can. And then when you read the book, stay calm, because your child might not think that this green little book is the book to read tonight. So if you already read to your child, you can read your normal kind of books. You can go on Harry Potter or whatever you read first, and then you can do this project afterwards. So you don't take something away from the child, but you actually bring on an add-on. So make sure you have time for everything, and you have energy for everything. So at a good day, you calm down, you go into your present loving energy, and you read this book to your child. And if your child doesn't want to read the book, or thinks your child could think meditation is boring, or yoga is boring, or something about the book cover that turns them off, or I don't know, whatever it could be, just being tired and don't want to take on a new project, or whatever it could be, you need to stay calm, stay loving, stay caring, and just keep reminding your child that you're going to do this meditation with them because you love them. or him or her, and you really want to share your love with your child. Just keep repeating that and stay calm throughout the whole reading. And children, so I want to just end up by giving you a little introduction to some of the mindfulness we also do at school. So one of the reasons that we want to introduce mindfulness and meditation at school and in our homes is because this is sort of like a picture of a child's brain when a child is bombarded with impressions and stimuli. So when a child has had a very busy day and you've had a busy day, this is how the brain looks. And if a brain looks like this, then you might know from your own life that it's really hard to fall asleep when you have racing thoughts. So what we really want to do is find techniques to calm down in the brain, and we want to move attention from the thoughts and the racing thoughts down into the body, and I love to go into the heart at that time. So the more calm you can be while reading the book, the easier this will become for your child, because this actually also happens in your brain while you relax, and the child can feel that in your energy, in your heartbeat, in your pulse. There are so many ways the child can feel how you feel. So once that happens, so when the child goes from this stage of racing thoughts and busy mind and starts to relax and shift his attention from his mind to his body and into his heart, he starts to actually feel his body. So once he shifts attention into his body, he can feel all different kinds of tensions and stuff going on in his body, because his mind is he is focusing more on his body and less on his thoughts. And he can feel the tiredness, he can feel numbness, he can feel stiffness, he can feel all different kinds of emotions, and he just want to move a little bit around. So my own daughter, one of my daughters is quiet, lying very still while we do this, and the other one turns around 10 times before calming down. So this is one of the things I hear most from parents, is that they get really annoyed because their child doesn't want to read the book or keeps moving, doesn't want to close his eyes. And the only thing you can do to help is to keep calm and just see it as training. Read a little bit tonight and try again another day if it doesn't work. But the actual training that is going on is the shift in your energy. So that is really what I wanted to share with you tonight, and I have had so many wonderful experiences with becoming a more conscious parent myself, and I want to share from my heart as a mother to another mother or father, because I know that we all just want to help our children. So changing our perspective from parenting our child to actually parenting ourselves has made such a huge impact in my life. So I wanted to end off this recording. It's already almost 40 minutes. So being really anxious to go live. I've been talking for 40 minutes now. So the last thing I want to share with you before we end this live sending is a little story about a mother. When the book came out in Danish, Børnemeditationen i mit hjerte, when it came out in Danish, I held a lot of workshops in Copenhagen, and I met a lot of parents, and they would come to get more information about meditation with children, and they would also come to ask questions of how, if it didn't work out for them. So I had all these wonderful conversations with parents, and it's all about understanding the energy part of it. So once you get a hang of it, it becomes much easier. So I've been trying to help these parents understand what's going on when they get annoyed, or when they get upset, or when they even get angry at that time. And there, I want to share a story from a mother who came to a workshop, and she had so much trouble getting her son to sleep. He was 4 or maybe 5 years old. They were living just the two of them, and they had a great time together. She's a wonderful mother. And the son is wonderful as well. And she came to the workshop to share with me that she had these, she was spending 2 or 3 hours every night getting her son to sleep, and he was running out of bed. And she felt sorry for him because he was so tired the next day, but she also felt sorry for herself because he was sort of, stealing her free time, stealing her night off. And it meant that once he was asleep, she completely collapsed and fell asleep, often on the couch in the living room, couldn't even drag herself to bed. And this was going on for quite some months, and it had become a really struggling time for this mother. So her sister found out about the book, and this mother Googled it and found it and bought it. And she decided that she really wanted to make this book work for her child. She really went all in, and she worked with her own energy before reading the book. She didn't know much about energy, but she sort of got into this switch, and that's what the book does for many parents. It actually helps them shift energy just by all the loving words that the book contains. So she opened the book and she read the first meditation in the book. There are 4 meditations. See if you can see this. The light is a little bad. So there are 4 meditations inside the book. I don't want to go into details now because we've been going on for quite some time. But she just read the first one, the green one. And after 5 minutes, her son was asleep. He was lying with his eyes closed, and she couldn't believe it. And she just kept reading because she wasn't sure if he was meditating or he was sleeping. And after she read the first book, she was sitting there in the room, and she was, okay, I think he's sleeping. And she tiptoed out of the room, like any mother or father knows, it's only, every little step in your child's room, and you've been sneaking out of the room trying not to make a noise. She was sort of doing that, and she was tiptoeing down to her couch, and she was sitting at the edge of the couch, just waiting for him to come running out, laughing or screaming or something like he usually did. And there was no noise for 20 minutes. And she tiptoed right back up to his room, and she opened the door without making a noise. And she was looking at him, and he was asleep, and he had a little smile on his face. And the mother just felt so relieved. One thing, he was sleeping, so he was getting enough sleep, and that's very important. We're going to talk a lot more about that in other live sendings, how much sleep our children really need to thrive. So she was so happy he was sleeping for him. And she was so relieved that she didn't have to argue with him this night. She had found a tool with this book. She had found a tool to stop fighting with her son at bedtime. And she really didn't like the way she parented when she was fighting with her child at bedtime. And no parent likes to yell at her or his child at bedtime. We don't like that. So we have to change that. So I hope I have inspired you. I'll just go through. I don't think you have asked any questions. Next time we go live, you're welcome to ask questions as well, and I'll try my best to answer. So thank you all for watching this video, or even being live here with me today. I appreciate it. Thank you for my Danish supporters who are here with me as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. I'll go live again soon. So thank you all, and thank you for spreading the words about this book. I really appreciate it. Thank you.